This isn't regurgitating information. You have to experiment, you have to fail, you have to try again. You really, really, really have to think.
Boys and girls, we know that Choicetime goes. Choicetime is an hour of play that fosters social emotional development for students. More importantly, Choicetime is a time for kids to be kids.
When I first started, I knew nothing about poinsettias. I always thought that you just buy them and I didn't know the process. So like going through the process with the poinsettias and also the herbs is really cool.
I hereby declare.
I almost started to cry a little bit. It was very exciting because it's like 17 people becoming citizens of the United States, so I thought it was really cool.
Hi there. You're just in time for another episode of Classroom Close-Up New Jersey. I'm your host, Sean Spiller. As a teacher, I never lose sight of the potential in the classroom. Every student deserves the best education possible. I'm there to introduce concepts that will form the foundation for their futures. More than a decade ago, we first heard the acronym STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, soon followed by STEAM, which includes the arts. More recently, educators have added reading or research to give us STREAM. The idea is that interconnecting these subjects through hands-on, real-world experiences represents the world where we live and work today. And so we begin our show with some examples in Fort Lee, where STREAM is keeping it real.
Where is the red team?
We're yellow. We're yellow.
Yellow, red?
No, we're red. We're red.
I run the Gifted and Talented program in 2 elementary schools in Fort Lee.
They're just learning the rules, so you kind of guide them and coach them along.
When they come to me, everything is kind of flipped from what they do in the classroom. They gain background knowledge in the class, which is important, but the goal is to create something that has not been done before. They're always welcome to enhance their learning experience outside of the classroom, which they tend to do.
The projects in Elsa's class are designed to foster critical and creative thinking. They're also STREAM-based.
STREAM is an acronym for S is for science, T, technology, R, research, E, engineering, A for art and design, and M for mathematics.
So first there are 3 teams of 2 people each.
The playground games you see here were actually designed by these students.
If the tosser lands on their color, for example, if I'm blue and it lands on blue.
The inspiration for this particular game board was the idea of patterns.
What's your favorite part of the game?
Elsa often partners with outside experts and companies to help her students make their concepts and designs a reality.
The game behind us is unique in that it was created with the stencil part. The stencil is the kids' ideas.
Pam Gunther owns a company called Fit and Fun Playscapes, and she was very receptive to the idea of coming in, and then she sat with the kids and they brainstormed ideas for games.
They're both really amazing designs. Like the Nautilus, there's a lot of math involved, and that one is just a beautiful design.
You did a great job. The game on the left is a tossellation, which is a tessellation, which is a geometric term, taking polygons and making a repeatable pattern. The right side of the game, they were researching Fibonacci numbers, which are repeated patterns that are found in nature all over the world. They kind of bring these all together, and they added the kid component, which was develop their own unique games, rules to actually play out on the playground.
You remember Mr. Sivadini?
Hi. From what was it, 4th, 5th grade?
Yeah.
Victor Savadini was also asked by Elsa to lend his expertise to these students as they designed park benches back when they were in middle school.
Originally, we had wanted the film reel to be different materials right here.
I'm a project executive for the 2 50-story residential buildings along with a park in Fort Lee. I was asked to meet with Elsa and see if she had some idea about involving some students with the project, especially the park, and she had the idea about the park benches.
Mariana and Yasmin are currently in high school. While in Elsa's class, their designs won a contest and have since been manufactured. They came back to meet with Mr. Sivadini to discuss the inspiration behind each bench.
Ultimately, at the end, when we decided to choose and we were judging the benches, what Fort Lee is known for is the bridge, and the truss design really nailed it for us. The designs were very contextual to Fort Lee. One was a bridge emulating the George Washington Bridge, as well as the other one being a film reel, which, as you go back into Fort Lee's history, they first developed film here in Fort Lee.
They teach us that Fort Lee is the first Hollywood. So one of my teammates, she says, you know, what if we play around with that? It's so incredible that this is what was able to come out of just a drawing.
It feels amazing to have this produced and now going to be in Fort Lee, in the town where I grew up, and I can maybe come back in like 20 years and say, oh, look, it's my bench.
Personally, and even talking to my company and my colleagues, wound up being so impressed by the 5th and 6th graders because of the different ideas that they had, the way they collaborated, the way they worked in teams was amazing. We should learn from them. From, you know, those couple of pieces of paper is really great to see. I'm so proud.
Today, we're going to come around and see how well your hand picks up just the empty cup. Engineering with Empathy is another project, and they tinkered to try to make something that would pick up an empty cup.
There are 3 cuts on each straw, but at the top, only 2 are visible.
This prosthetic hand project enables students to become familiar with form and function, while also learning about biomedical engineering.
You have that kind of, if you didn't have that, it would just be a straight like triangle, so you wouldn't be able to hold anything. So
we started out with basic materials, cardstock, string, tape, materials that are inexpensive, and they had to decide after a lot of sketches which one they thought would work based on their study of the anatomy of the hands.
When we're working on these prosthetic hands, I can kind of envision how hard it must be for life for those who don't have hands that like have fingers really, but just have like a palm. There's this wrist part, so if you have no fingers, at least you'll be able to hold a cup.
Benjamin Franklin said, "You tell me I forget, you teach me I learn, you involve me I remember." And really my goal is I hope that beyond remembering, they utilize the skills that they're able to tinker with where there are no wrong answers. We are just concerned with thinking and creating and designing.
This isn't regurgitating information. You have to experiment, you have to fail, you have to try again. You really, really, really have to think. And I think it's just really beneficial in overall.
Through project-based learning, students are practicing the 4 C's: collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and communication. It's never too early to start, especially when you're planning your choice playtime.
Children and playtime, 2 images that should go hand in hand when you think of kindergarten.
That's one window.
My earliest memory of being kindergarten is coming in and coloring and learning how to cut.
But the fact is, kindergarten has changed quite a bit.
Today, we're asking children to learn to read and learn to write and so much more. There's been just such a shift, I think, from the time that I was in school. I was stunned at the pressure that was put on these little 5- and 6-year-olds.
And that stress on young children can have devastating effects.
Research was showing that later in life, these kids that had such pressure at 5 and 6 had really, really adverse outcomes like suicide and depression and stress because they didn't have a chance to be a kid. And so we decided, how are we going to change that in our district? And play was the answer.
So Molly reached out to her instructional coach, who had done some research on the topic.
I watched a webinar by 2 teachers, Christine Mraz and Christine Hertz, and they were at that point sort of developing their new book, which was called A Mindset for Learning. What they were realizing is that they were seeing children come into the classroom with high anxiety, with a great deal of attention deficit, and they thought, well, maybe as rigor has increased in the classroom, rigor coming from standards, additional homework, rigor was increasing, yet some of that recess and playtime was sort of decreasing. So maybe there was a correlation.
Lori was very interested in Mraz's and Hertz's research, so she and Molly went to observe their classroom firsthand.
One thing that we saw in Christy Mraz's classroom in New York City was play, the success of play.
Molly wanted that success in her classroom, so she implemented play, and she calls it Choicetime.
Boys and girls, we know that Choicetime goes. Choicetime is an hour of play that fosters social emotional development for students. More importantly, Choicetime is a time for kids to be kids and take risks without a consequence. All right, friends, what are our three this week?
Post office,
We will all sit together in a circle and they come up with ideas that they want to play that week. Then they'll make a proposal, they'll plan out what they're going to do.
So you guys are working on your proposal?
Yeah.
What's your proposal? What are you guys doing? Oh, nail salon. If you guys are going to do a post office, what kind of stuff do you need to purchase from the store?
We need 3 boxes.
So how long do you guys get to work on your proposals? A few minutes? And then you get to go over and get your things?
Yeah, from the beautiful things. Do we have string yet? No.
Typically, it'll take 2 to 3 days for them to actually build what their center looks like and build all the different pieces of their center.
Right.
You dip your fingers. And then they play. They assign roles to each person in the group.
Okay, how do I get my nails done? Wait, what color are we doing?
Red.
Red? Okay. Oh, thank you. This is the change?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm going to order some spaghetti. Excuse me. Can I take the spaghetti, but can I get a little bit of pizza on the side of my spaghetti? Okay, thank you. Oh, that is unbelievably quick.
In terms of students learning while they're playing, yes, they're learning social skills, but one thing that I see is that the academic skills being taught in our reading, writing, math blocks are being carried over into play because we're asking them to make a sign for their center. We're asking them, if there's a restaurant, to make a menu. They're exchanging dollar bills.
Okay, here's the $1. And then I think we have to tip our waiter because he did a good job. So here's an extra $1 tip for you.
So let's pause, take a moment to meet with your group to discuss what we're going to talk about during Crowd Share. We have them stop and they take time to reflect on what they did that day. And I'll try to refer back to what we talked about when we met before they started playing. How about we start with the nail salon?
We are proud of that we work together and we share. Sharing is caring. Today everyone had a job.
I'm so happy as a parent that Henry has playtime at school. I think it's essential for their learning ability, for their ability to solve problems within a group.
I have noticed a huge change in students once implementing Choicetime. Bottom line is that there's less stress. Giving them this outlet to just be kids has reduced the amount of stress and anxiety that I have seen in the past, and it's just an incredible thing to see and be able to offer to our students.
Maybe you guys want to sit and eat now. When we return, the business of horticulture, coming up next.
The more you see, the less you realize you know. And I think part of my job as a teacher is helping students, not just teaching them things that they can know, but helping them learn that they don't know as much as they might think, which then drives them to learn on their own. And I think that that's, if I'm only going to teach a student for a year, then I have to instill this drive for them to learn on their own beyond that, or I have only made a temporary impact.
Today we're going to make our herb baskets that we're going to display for our sale next week. So everybody has their herb basket in front of them? Everybody's ready to go? Greenhouses are awesome because they come in here, there's no phones, there's no technology, it's just basic. It takes you down to where we all came from.
In addition to a peaceful interlude from the bustle of the high school experience, students in Joan Dilling's horticulture class are learning botany while getting their hands dirty.
What goes on in this greenhouse on a daily basis is very exciting. The kids come in, They plant plants from seed. They plant plants from plugs, which are small little plants. We receive plants that are called pre-finished, which they are partially started, like the poinsettias, and then we take them to maturity. They learn everything about the plant they need to know to grow it successfully and beautifully. They learn 144 vocabulary words, and they learn every part of the plant and how it functions.
These are the poinsettias. We received them in September. They didn't come like this, they came all green. In order for them to change color, they have to at least have 14 hours of complete darkness.
Most people think that these red leaves on the poinsettia are the flower, but they're called the bracts. The yellow part right here is the cyathea, and that's the flower.
We invite students, teachers, parents, people in the community to come by them so we have more funds to do more cool greenhouse stuff.
The program is paid for through all the proceeds of our many plant sales. We have a herb plant sale prior to Thanksgiving so that people don't make their stuffing with dry herbs. In December, we have the poinsettia plant sale. We have a perennial and annual plant sale in the end of April. And then we have a vegetable, fruits, and quick growing annuals that we sell at the very end of May, before we clean up for the end of the year. And all of those proceeds go to fund this program. It is self-sustaining.
Can you see that little shoot coming out? Yeah. It's already starting. I'm Fury Faracco. I'm a volunteer. I volunteer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings for about 15 years, helping introduce the students to more exotic tropicals.
I didn't have much knowledge of exotic plants, so it was really nice to have another adult to bounce things off of, and he's so enthralled and just loves the exotic plants, and his enthusiasm spills into the kids.
The community has been very good to me, and this is my way of giving back. Put that in a pot, and you'll have a new plant. Seeing students create something, for instance this, 2 years ago, I introduced one of the students into hybridizing, and he crossed 2 different hibiscus. This is the only one on planet Earth. It's a shame it's past its prime now, but this is his creation, and that gives me great pleasure.
In front of me, I have a banana tree and also an elephant ear.
I took a cutting from the night blooming jasmine. You would cut it from the node, which is around this area.
When I first started, I knew nothing about poinsettias. I always thought that you just buy them, and I didn't know the process. So like going through the process with the poinsettias and also the herbs is really cool.
Zeke, what would you like?
Basil and oregano.
Very nice. What are you gonna make with that?
Pizza.
Nice.
Another major project for the students involves growing herbs.
I'm here with Chef Schwartz in the Lower Cape May Regional Kitchen, and we're going to be making recipes with all the gorgeous herbs that we've grown in the greenhouse.
Using the fresh herbs versus the dried ones, the flavor, the intensity is much greater.
This is basil. This one here is sage.
This is cilantro, Italian parsley.
The herb project is quite extensive. We start in September. They have to choose an herb. We go down to the library. They all come back to class with a recipe. And then we vote on the one that we're going to cook. Every single thing that we cook has to have an herb from the greenhouse. And every student has to at least make an attempt to taste it. Most of them are very happy to. When do we water the poinsettias? Yeah, when they're dry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the poinsettias native to, Ab?
They're native to Mexico.
And how did they get here?
They got here because Joel Poinsett brought them here in 1825.
There you go. What I want my students to get out of it is I want them to have a love of the plants. I want them to possibly use it as a career. I want them to use it as a hobby. I want them to own a home someday and plant plants around the yard to beautify their community. And I want them to feel good about raising something from a seed all the way up to maturity and then being able to eat it.
Good morning. I am Julio Feldman, principal of this wonderful school.
School assemblies are often fun and informative.
As part of our 4th grade curriculum, students learn about immigration.
But this one is actually more of an event. These 4th graders are about to witness something very special.
So what's it take to become a naturalized United States citizen? The first thing is probably the hardest you had to get here. Right?
This is Keith Dorr, a regional supervisor with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services.
6 years ago, my daughter was actually in this school. She was in Miss Nichols' classroom, and during a parent-teacher conference, Miss Nichols said, "Would you mind coming to the class and talking to the students?" And I said, "Absolutely, I would love to do that." I said, "I'll give you one better. If you want, talk to the principal. Maybe we can even do a ceremony here at the school."
I was inspired by him. He shows so much enthusiasm, and he mentioned that sometimes they take the ceremonies out of the office, and he would always love to do one in a school, and I said, well, let's do it.
So 4th grade teachers Laura Nichols and Andrew Battle have incorporated this event into their curriculum for the past 6 years.
So when you hear your country of origin, can you please stand? China, Egypt, India, Philippines, Poland, Russia, and the United Kingdom.
These 17 people from around the globe are about to become U.S. citizens.
Anytime that you can bring something from the real world that you've been learning about into the classroom or into the school, I think it's 10 times more powerful than me standing up there talking about it or even just showing a video about it.
One last thing that stands in front of you and United States citizenship, and that is swearing your allegiance to this country and this country's Constitution. And right now,
This is a part of our history. We learn about it, and now we can actually witness it.
I hereby declare on oath.
I almost started to cry a little bit. It was very exciting.
All allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince.
You'll be like from another country. Now you're kind of like a part of this country.
The Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
U.S. citizens get to practice whatever religion they want freely.
Without any mental reservation.
It enriches my job a lot. It helps me feel like I'm actually giving something of importance to the kids.
And I take this obligation freely.
They will never forget today. That's the emotional part for me.
So help me God. Congratulations, you're all officially citizens of the United States.
Freedom is here, opportunities is here, equality is here. It's my dream.
We would like to devote our hard work and passion towards the country.
I started to cry actually. It was a very, very emotional, very touching moment because you realize that something very serious happened right now.
And after 54 years, Max Reinbold.
When you're standing up on the stage and you're looking at the new citizens, and when you see them, and a couple of them, this was a big, big deal, more than we know. But when you see that emotion in their face, I get a little emotional, and I have to then hold my bearing because I'm doing the ceremony, but it's definitely an emotional thing.
Why is it necessary or important to have an actual naturalization ceremony, which is what you saw this morning? So today in class, we're going to have the children reflect on some higher level questions, get them thinking on a deeper level about what they're witnessing in the ceremony, what they've learned so far, and have them respond to one another.
And because people are different, that's what makes a good country. How might the new citizens have been feeling today? Why would they be feeling these emotions? I put excited because they took time to do this and they accomplished these goals. It's like 17 people becoming citizens of the United States, and they took so much time out of their lives becoming citizens. So I thought it was really cool.
They worked so hard for this moment, and I wouldn't want it just to be in like a little small room. I'd want it to be a big like assembly of people instead of...
It was August 5th, 1970. that I became a naturalized citizen at the age of 20. And watching these people become American citizens, it brings me back to my journey and where I am today, and happy to be here.
10 years from now, what do you want to remember about the day you saw a naturalization ceremony in 4th grade?
Like, it's like a bridge, and how it's not the end, but it's the beginning.
When we came back in the classroom, I said, what was most memorable to you? And some of the students said, I noticed that when they got their American flag, they turned around, they all had smiles on. I thought that was really neat, that they saw how important and how special it was to the new citizens, you know, that they were so happy to become citizens.
Witnessing it in person, I think, brings it to a new level when you see their faces. Whereas if you were just looking at names, wonderful, it's a great experience, but to see it happening and to see their emotional response, they stand up and they wave the flag and they're smiling, it's a moment to see.
We're happy you were able to see that moment with us. If you'd like to watch more stories like these, check out our video library at classroomcloseup.org. And join us next time when we'll meet the New Jersey State Teacher of the Year, who is now a finalist for the National Teacher of the Year. For Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, I'm Sean Spiller. See you soon.